Hey guys, I wanted to make a quick video on sewer systems versus private septic systems and what you can look out for with each of those as a buyer. So if you're buying a house in the city, you're likely going to be hooked up to city sewer and water. And with that, you're going to have a main sewer line exiting the front of your home and going out to meet up with the main line in the middle of the road. As a homeowner, you're responsible for that sewer line all the way up until it meets up with the main line. So as a buyer, you may want to add on to your home inspection and do a sewer scope where they'll send a camera all the way down that sewer line until it meets up with the main line, and make sure you don't have any cracks in the pipe or any parts that are caving in, anywhere where tree roots are coming in, basically anything that could cause a backup of sewer water in your basement, which is not only gross, but if you have to make a repair to that sewer line, it can be quite expensive if you haven't budgeted for it. And if you're buying a house outside of the city, it's likely going to have a private septic system and a well. So just like with the sewer system, you're going to have a main line carrying the waste out of your home, except for instead of it going out to meet up with the main sewer line in the middle of the road, it's going to go out to your own private septic system. So I'm going to show you guys a mound system today. That waste will travel out to your septic tanks. So there's 3 tanks here, and the tanks are actually underground. Usually you don't have this part sticking way up out of the ground like these 3, but for some reason these are. Usually you'll just see this cement cap flush with the ground, and I think this is pretty ugly. But anyway, there's a tank underground here, and the waste will come out to this first tank here, and the solid waste will settle down to the bottom of the tank, while the liquid waste, once it gets up high enough, will travel through a pipe over to the second tank. And the same thing will happen here. Any solid waste will settle down into the holding tank, and any liquid waste will travel over to this third tank. This one's actually called the pump chamber, and you can tell which one is the pump chamber because it has this outlet outside here for the pump to plug into. And once the liquid waste gets up high enough in this tank here, that pump will turn on and it will pump that wastewater out to be dispersed into the drain field, which is a bunch of perforated pipes where that wastewater will travel down through those little holes and into the ground to be filtered by the soil. You want to make sure there's enough room between your groundwater and your drain field, because you don't want your groundwater to be contaminated by wastewater that hasn't had enough room to filter through the soil and be clean. So if you live somewhere with a higher water table, you're likely going to have something called a mound system like there is here. So as you can see, there's this mound up above the rest of the ground out here, and that's so that they could raise those perforated pipes up a little bit so they have a little bit more room to be filtered through the soil before they get down to the groundwater. And if you're buying a house that has a private septic system and a well, you want to get it inspected just like your main sewer line, because you want to make sure that there aren't any cracks or blockages that are going to cause a backup in your basement. But you also want to make sure that it's compliant and that wastewater isn't contaminating your groundwater. So you can also do a well test to take a sample of your well water and make sure that it's drinkable and not being contaminated by your septic system. So there's a little bit of information on sewer systems versus septic systems.